So in 2002, right out of college, I had the opportunity to work for a company out in Italy in the newspaper industry. So I worked in pre-press software. So for a young person, it was an amazing opportunity. I got to travel the world, work on software, but man, it was short-lived. I experienced my first layoff, and it was just devastating. And I knew, man, if you want security, entrepreneurship is the way to go. I had the opportunity to meet two guys that just came back from Chicago who were web developers at the time. We decided to go in together on a space on Walnut Street. At the time I was in IT, so the idea was, hey, we can set up servers and different things. So there was 4 of us, and we got together and started J29 Global. We found a little place in downtown Springfield. I think we were one of the first companies that did web and IT integration and different things like that. And yeah, it was your first hipster type company back during the dot-com era. Around 2004, I had my agency downtown Springfield. My father was an executive chef, and he was always looking to do something with his son in regards to a restaurant. So it fell in my lap, an opportunity to open up a Cajun restaurant and bar. It was called Easy's. Anytime I get into any type of business, I kind of personally just go all in. So I really wanted to understand the minds of my audience. So I went out a lot, and it was almost like the life of the party. It was very different than what I was used to from being in the professional industry to doing a restaurant. So at the time I thought, hey, I'm just gonna do this on the side, but it never happens that way with the restaurant industry. I ended up going all in on the restaurant and leaving J29 Global at the time. I started learning the restaurant industry and overseeing the front end while my father did the back end. And in 2007, it all came kind of crashing down. My father got diagnosed with cancer. So he had a tumor that was cancerous near his liver, and from there it got into his bloodstream. And it was very quick. Like, we didn't know how quickly everything's gonna change. We didn't even have time to really plan for my father's passing. So I lost my father in November of 2007. Even though with my father's situation, I had to maintain strength in order to keep the business going. So I started learning how to make sauces, keeping the restaurant open, running the entire operation. So I was cooking fine dining meals and keeping up a bar business that was open till 2 a.m., 3. I still remember that one night. It was after everything's closed, and I was sitting in my kitchen. I remember just bawling and just crying and just, grieving, because I never had that time to grieve for my father's death. And I just knew, this isn't God's plan for me. That's when I decided in my heart, I need to choose to just walk away. So I walked away in 2008. And anytime you have a business, even though it's profitable, there's a lot of responsibilities. You can't just walk away from something like that. And that's when I ended up with a bankruptcy. It was just a turning point in my life. I started questioning myself. Who does Kevin want to be? What do I want to do in my life? And it always pointed back to J29, which is a Bible verse that was always in my heart. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans not to harm you, but give you hope in a future. And I just knew that day, the restaurant business isn't for me, and that's not God's plan. for my life. So after I closed the restaurant, anytime you take a bankruptcy, you end up with nothing. It's like starting over. So it's really hard to go from being in a city where everyone knows you as an entrepreneur, and you've been in magazines, you had your success stories, and then all of a sudden you have nothing. And I was just wondering what I should do with myself. And so I started just envisioning how I can get myself back to the IT industry, because I knew that's where God wanted me to be. It was hard because you've been away from 4 years, technology changes. The code that I was doing now is totally different. Late 2009, that's when I met Jennifer, my wife to be, unemployed and just enjoying life. At the lowest time of my life, it was kind of the happiest as well. I ended up working for Enterprise. I remember being in your dresser and tie, washing cars and renting them to people. During that time, I moved up pretty quickly in the company because I have entrepreneurship experience, and I had the opportunity to do IT recruiting. And I was like, man, if I'm recruiting, that puts me in front of CEOs of IT companies in Kansas City. So I took that job opportunity and became an IT recruiter. It wasn't long until a CEO offered me an opportunity for a logistics software company, and I went and started working for them. I started consulting on the side because I knew this company was designed to sell. At some point, I'm gonna probably lose my job again. So I started picking up one client led to 4 clients, and that's when J29 Creative started coming into my mind, and it brings me here, with J29 Creative. And J29's always been on my heart. My wife was encouraging me to do it, and that's when we took the leap of faith, and we started from my basement. I remember it was just Jake and I. Jake left from the previous logistics software company and decided to come work with me in my basement. And from there, we started cold calling, started reaching out to more clients, and one thing led to another, meetings. And about a year into it, we just exploded. All the pieces just started, going into play, and one thing led to the other. We just grew. So we started an office out in the Philippines and doing development. We were able to hone in on a team of 10 individuals out there, and then from there we had added an East Coast rep in New York, and today, J29, we're actually a global company. It's almost like I took a huge detour, and now God brought me back to doing what I love. And one of the biggest things is know yourself. Find what you're not only passionate at, but find something that is meaningful and of value. And if you can be able to give to others and be able to deliver something valuable, it's amazing where things can go. And that's entrepreneurship in a nutshell. So we're now 3 years in Kansas City. We have our own space. We have a team of amazing guys, and it's such a blessing how they all fall into play. And the next step, we see big things. My dream for J29 is where we can self-fund ourselves, so we can actually go to even third world country and document and be able to build schools. We have huge goals, and we look forward to taking you on this journey.